Okay, it's recording.
Hi, this is Bob Gutman again. This is my second podcast. I'm the editor of Transatlantic Magazine, and this is Political Profiles at Transatlantic Magazine. I used to own a company called Political Profiles for 12 years and put out a magazine called Transatlantic for 15 and was editor of Europe Magazine for 20. Anyway, we'll go back to last time I was talking was about the debates, Democratic debates. We've had the debates last week. And I may have a different take on it than some people. I watched the whole debate. My wife and I watched it. And I personally didn't think Joe Biden did that bad. I thought he did okay. I thought some of the other people did okay that haven't been mentioned. It just seems like the media picks out one person or two people and say they're the winners. So we run our presidential races like they're horse races. Who's up, who's down. And that's why I started Political Profiles years ago, to try to tell where people stand on the issues. But right now we're at, the latest poll came out today. CNN poll was out yesterday, a new poll today shows Biden still in the lead, but instead of a 10-point lead, he's about 3 to 5 points ahead of Kamala Harris, the U.S. Senator from California. So Kamala Harris, tore into Biden. It was planned. She actually has T-shirts already made up that say, "I was the one who was bussed." Here we are in 2019. Bussing's not really an issue. So I think it's kind of a fake thing. I think Joe Biden has a record that'll put up against anybody for civil rights. He was the first, vice president under Barack Obama, our first African American president. He's been very active in civil rights. He has leadership. He has more percentage of African American Democrats supporting him at the moment. So I think it was a cheap shot, but that's what politics is about, taking cheap shots, getting your voice seen. I've been covered debates for the last 40 years. I was at the debate in New Hampshire where Ronald Reagan said, "I paid for this microphone, turn my microphone on." That was all planned. And when Ronald Reagan said to Mondale, "I won't make fun of your youth and inexperience," that helped him win the election. So people have things in their grab bag that they're ready to say, and they can use it. Kamala, Biden let her have an opening. She took it. Biden could have come back stronger. We have new debates coming up this month, the end of the month in Detroit, that CNN will have on. So somebody may drop out. There's talk former Governor Hickenlooper of Colorado, his staff's trying to get him to drop out of the presidential race and run for the Senate in Colorado. I thought Hickenlooper actually had a pretty good event. I think, what's his name, Swalwell, I think was atrocious, kept saying, "I'm the new generation. We need somebody to take over from Biden." I mean, really, we can tell you're young and Biden's old. We don't need that gratuitous talk. Mayor Pete, I thought looked like he was asleep. And I still don't understand. The media today has the top 4 people. I think it's Biden, Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders. Then they have Mayor Pete at 4%, and then everybody else is 4% or less. So I think everybody got in what they needed to do. As we found out, sadly, in 2016, the person with the biggest mouth and the biggest bunch of lies, and the person who denigrated everybody, was Donald Trump, and he got the nomination for the Republicans and became president of the United States. And so, sadly, I think the Democrats might be following that. I think they should go back to what Ronald Reagan said, the 11th commandment: don't speak ill of your fellow Republican. I think the Democrats should not speak ill of their fellow Democrats. I'm all for diversity, but diversity the name of the game is to win. Politics is winning, having more numbers on your side than the other person, having more electoral votes than the other person. So we can all say we're diverse and we have a great group of candidates, but all we need is one candidate to beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump, as somebody said, is an existential threat to America, as you can see with his hoax he's putting on at the 4th of July. I just wrote a tweet. My family and I go to the Nationals game at 11 o'clock every morning. Then we barbecue, then we come back in town and go to the Capitol 4th. It's a nice non-political day. how absurd, it's absurdity to bring tanks into Washington on Independence Day. As far as I remember, and I teach history, I don't think we had any tanks in the Revolutionary War. Somebody might correct me, but what do tanks have to do with Independence Day? Nothing. What does Air Force One flying across the sky have to do with anything? So my hope is that we have thunderstorms from 6:30 to 8 when Trump's supposed to speak and he gets drowned out. I think it's just ridiculous. They're politicizing the day that should be open to everybody. Kellyanne Conway said today it's not politicized. However, if you want to get VIP seats and sit in this grandstand in front of their building in front of Lincoln Memorial, where do you get those tickets? You get them from the Republican National Committee. So how can it not be political if the Republican National Committee is handing out the VIP tickets? And of course, Trump will say it's the biggest, the best, the greatest fireworks we've ever had. It's a scandal. The other thing that's a scandal is Trump never talks to our allies. I wrote a tweet saying, gee, it'd be nice if Trump was actually walking in London or Berlin or Paris or Madrid with our actual European allies rather than crossing this hoax Troxin into North Korea, saying what an honor it is to be a guest of what, a murderous thug who puts his people in concentration camps, kills his own relatives, probably kill half those photographers who got in his way last time. So I mean, it's a joke. It's the third meeting that he's had with, the murderous thug dictator of North Korea. Said the only thing that would have made it better if he brought basketball star Dennis Rodman, who seems to be a fan of the Kim Jong-un. So, and then of course, his daughter Ivanka Trump, who's that great foreign policy expert from her time selling clothes, and Tucker Carlson, that great foreign policy expert who, peddles garbage at Fox News. So they both walk into North Korea for, what I think is going to happen is Ivanka Trump thinks with her great experience she's going to run for president in 2024. So this will be part of her campaign. And of course her husband, Jared Kushner's secretary of everything. The president thinks he's going to bring peace to the Middle East. I don't see that happening. Anyway, my next big article is going to be, it's the most bizarre thing. We have one political party, you can guess which one, the Republicans, who their leader, the Republican president, can say anything to anybody. He can disparage Muslims, he can disparage disabled people, he can be anti-Semitic, he can be anti-everything which he is. He can give names to people that are disparaging, degrading, and he gets away with it. Nobody calls him on it. He can be rude to our allies, he can drop out of the Iran nuclear deal, and he gets away with it. He can even talking about a great hero, John McCain, who passed away a year ago, and he still got him on his mind. So the president's a rude, uncivil bully, and his party lets him get away with everything. It's scandalous that the Republican Party of Lincoln, Eisenhower, and Reagan has become so know-nothing, anti-immigrant, anti-Semitic, just anti-American. It's just, it sounds weird to say a president, but he's anti-American. Goes against all our democratic norms. And then on the other side, we have the Democratic Party, as Kamala Harris showed. My gosh, Joe Biden, who's had 40 years of his life given to public service, was against something back 40 years ago. It's like if you jaywalked 40 years ago, you can't become president. I mean, one party's so politically correct that you have to raise your hand. Do you want free this? Do you want free that? Yes. The other party's like, we don't care about anybody. Let's have, people in our detention centers make us look like third world country. It's outrageous in our detention centers for immigrants. And they get away with it. It's shocking. So we have two separate parties. We have the Democratic Party the Republican Party under Trump, who obviously is going to be renominated and be the nominee. And then the Democrats are all running around trying to say, I can do this for you. They're pandering. It's like what Walter Mondale was called in 1984. They called him Pander Bear. And the Democrats need to realize how they won all those seats in the House. The House switched to Democratic in the last round. It's because they talked about bread and butter issues, the economy, and things like that. They didn't talk about the Mueller report or doing away with our private insurance system. So the Democrats have to get back to how they won the House and how the presidential candidates quit. It's like, we know you're diverse. We know somebody, but diversity is fine. It's great. It's America. We're the land of immigrants. But saying you're diverse doesn't win the White House. The way you win the White House is to defeat the incumbent. The incumbent is named Donald Trump. He has to be beaten. So by getting on stage, trashing your front runner may help you become the front runner. But, the Democrats should stay together, but what they have to do, if you're not number one, it's like in a horse race, you got to get up there. You got to beat them. So everybody tried to yell at Joe Biden. It worked. Kamala Harris picked up some points. But it's a long way to Iowa. She picked up points in Iowa. I think Elizabeth Warren's doing good. People seem to like her policy statements. I think maybe the governor of Montana, Bullock, will be in the next debate if he gets enough signatures and enough donations. He'll be somebody new. I think some of the people may drop out. I think Swalwell's performance was obnoxious and terrible. I guess Castro did okay. I think Elizabeth Warren did okay the first night. Beto looked like he was wearing a shirt too big for him, and I think he's past his prime time. Mayor Pete, I don't see the appeal. I think he's, he can speak Norwegian, and he is a veteran. All power to him, but I think he's got enough problems in South Bend that he needs to go back to my native state of Indiana and take care of his problems before he runs for president. Cory Booker doesn't do much for me. He keeps talking about how he lives in the slums. Really, I mean, with your degree from Stanford and Yale, I don't think you're living in the slums. So Booker, I don't think is moving up too well. The other people, without their names in front of me, it's even hard for somebody who covers it to know all 20 names. That Marianne Williamson was wacky at the end. I hope she gets off stage. And Yang, he's almost as wacky as Williamson. So anyway, I think some of the people did better I think Biden didn't do as bad as people said. I think he should come back okay in the second debate. It happened to Reagan when the first debate he had. And people thought, oh, he was too old, he didn't know what he was doing. And he came back and did that great line against Mondale. I'm not going to criticize Mondale for his youth and inexperience, and as even Mondale said, that probably won the election for Reagan. So you can be on your game. I think Biden still has a lot of support. It's a long way to go, but if Biden doesn't get it, there's a lot of people out there that we don't even, Beto was the man of the hour a few months ago, and he went out searching to talk to people and got lost. And then Mayor Pete was the man of the hour. Now he's got problems, big problems in his own home city of South Bend in Indiana. He was the man of the hour. Now Elizabeth Warren seems to be moving up, and now Kamala Harris. So as we saw from the Republican debates when they had 16 or 17 people, they all had their time in the sun. And I think somebody will shine next week. You can only have so many breakout minutes. Kamala Harris can't do this again to Biden, and Biden will be on his game. So somebody else will break out. If you're watching the podcast, write me at rguttman, R-G-U-T-T-M-A-N, at jhu.edu, and write and tell me who you think is going to have the next breakout, at the debates. And then we'll be having more debates in September when Americans aren't on vacation, and they'll be watching it more. So anyway, let's hopefully everybody has a good 4th of July. I'm going to try to avoid anything to do with Trump in Washington. I hope nobody goes to see his talk at Lincoln Memorial. We've gone so far downhill from Lincoln to Trump, it's unbelievable. So enjoy your 4th of July and try not to watch Trump, and stay away from the tanks. We don't need tanks in our city of Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. So I'll be back with you. I'm going to start a system each week where we're going to be, with my intern Sky, how we're going to be doing different rating system, who's up, who's down, how historians actually rate presidents, who's doing good with the economy, who's doing good on debates, who's doing good in Iowa, who's doing good in New Hampshire, who's up, who's down. So a lot of people are out there actually making some good points. And it's, I've been a member of the media for years, but we don't, it's all of a sudden everybody, Kamala Harris. And next time, the debate at the end of the month with CNN, it could be Cory Booker. Who knows? Everybody seems like we can't think of more than one person. And it's not like Joe Biden, that after 40 years of public service, is somehow evil. It's like, oh my God, Biden is slipping. He's got a big lead, so he should slip. Because we got a lot of talented people out there. But the name of the game is not diversity. It's not how much money you raised. It's not what a big smile you have or what you can do. It's who can beat Donald Trump. Incumbents can be beaten, but they're very hard to beat. So you have to find a candidate who you may not like 100% of what they do, but if you think they can beat Trump, that's all you need to look at. Anybody, any of these 20 people, even Marianne Williamson and Yang, Hickenlooper, any of them are better than Trump and better for America. The 4 more years of Trump, we might not even be able to recognize this country and our democratic norms. So anyway, I hope to hear from you all. Look forward to seeing you in my political profiles, and next week I'll do another one. And I'll try to do one on foreign policy. I used to have a center on politics and foreign relations, so I've covered foreign policy a lot. Talk about Trump's bizarre foreign policy and how a lot of the Democrats really don't have much of a foreign policy. Bernie Sanders, all these others say, oh, we got to be multilateral. That doesn't tell you what to do. So we'll talk about foreign policy next week. Talk about what's going on in American foreign policy in the Middle East, Iran, North Korea, and with our allies. I worked for the European Union for 20 years. How Trump seems to dismiss our allies and fall in love. Who falls in love with a dictator? I mean, how bizarre. That's just, maybe he likes his haircut. Maybe they both have the most bizarre haircuts in the world. How weird. Or maybe he likes the way that Kim Jong-un dresses. So it's a savvy dresser. No, it's just crazy. And we exchange love letters. Yeah, really? That's pretty sad. Anyway, and then we'll find out someday along the way what Putin has on Trump. So this is me signing off. See you all later. And like rgutman@jhu.edu. I hope to hear from everybody. And we'll start a rating system next week. So transatlanticmagazine.com is our website. And I'm at Robert Gutman Twitter. See y'all next week.